Those who've already joined, why are they getting disconnected? Chalo, let's. So we have noted down the details of a hypothetical case scenario. And after we are done, after we have learned the tools and techniques of investigating an outbreak, we are going to solve this case. Okay, investigate this particular outbreak, this hypothetical case scenario involving a hypothetical outbreak. Then we had discussed about the definition of epidemiology. So we are done with the definition of epidemiology. We had discussed the goal of epidemiology in the last class. Now, I'll again start with the goal of epidemiology in this class. So the goal of epidemiology is to limit disease, injury, and death in a population. And how does it do that? It intervenes to prevent or limit outbreaks or epidemics of disease and injury. So what do we mean by intervening to prevent or limit outbreaks or epidemics of disease and injury? Prevention means that the onset of the disease has not yet occurred. क्या बोलते हैं ना, prevention is better than cure. But रोकथाम से बचाव या इलाज से बचाव बेहतर है. हिंदी में अगर उसको इस phrase को आप translate करेंगे. Prevention means that the onset of the disease or the outbreak has not yet occurred and you are taking preventive measures to not let that outbreak happen. Then comes the limit the outbreaks or epidemics of disease and injury. Suppose an outbreak has already initiated. Now the only thing that you can do is to halt the progress of this outbreak or limit the spread of this outbreak so as to contain the region or the people who are affected by this outbreak or the disease. And how does epidemiology accomplish this? How does it intervene to prevent or limit, that is control, the outbreaks or epidemics of disease and injury? Now, what is the difference between, I'm constantly using the two terms, outbreaks or epidemics? What is the difference between the two terms? Outbreaks are local in nature. Outbreak of any epidemic or an endemic or a pandemic starts with a local outbreak. A few people or a group of people in a particular area at a given point of time in a particular region get affected, and from there, this is in case of infectious diseases, and from there the infection spreads to a larger population. When an unexpected number of people in a population get affected by a disease, then it is termed an epidemic. So the proper definition of an epidemic is an unexpectedly large number of cases of disease in a particular population. When there is an unexpected or unacceptable levels of cases of disease in a particular population, this condition is termed as an epidemic. Every epidemic, every endemic, or every pandemic starts with a local outbreak, and then it spreads over a region or a population. With the passage of time, it spreads to a larger area or region, or sometimes to the entire continents or the entire world. In that case, if sometimes the epidemic or the disease spreads to a larger region encompassing an entire continent or the entire world, in that case, this epidemic is termed a pandemic, like in the case of the present COVID-19 pandemic. So how is this accomplished? How does epidemiology accomplish this prevention or limiting the outbreak or epidemic of disease or injury? कैसे अचीव करता है एपिडेमियोलॉजी? एपिडेमियोलॉजी को हिंदी में महामारी विज्ञान भी बोलते हैं, एपिडेमिक को हिंदी में महामारी भी कहते हैं. So this is accomplished. There are three things that can be done. The first step is you describe the outbreak. जैसा कि COVID-19 का example अगर आप लेंगे, if you take the example of COVID-19 pandemic, the initial outbreak occurred in the Hunan province of China, and epidemiologists try to describe the outbreak. Describing the outbreak requires epidemiologists to ask 4 basic questions that epidemiologists are needed to ask. The first one, we had discussed this in the last class, is how many people are sick. That is the extent of the disease or the distribution of the disease in the local population or the people who are at risk or the susceptible population. Second question is who is sick, which segment of the population is getting affected by the disease. The third question is when did the disease or the symptoms of the disease start? What were the exact circumstances when the symptoms start appearing, or when the spread of the disease started to happen, or when the cases started coming to fore. The fourth question that an epidemiologist asks is where do these people live, or where have they traveled to, if in case they have traveled to find out the exact nature of the exposure that they must have gone through. So these are the 4 basic questions that an epidemiologist asks. When an epidemiologist asks these 4 basic questions and describes an outbreak, it is termed as descriptive epidemiology. So descriptive epidemiology always precedes analytical epidemiology or experimental epidemiology. Then comes, so epidemiology achieves this in 3 steps. The first thing achieves what? The goal of limiting disease, injury, and death in a community. The first thing that epidemiology does is describes the outbreaks. Second thing that it does is analyze these outbreaks. Now this is classified, or this passed under analytical epidemiology. So once you describe the outbreak, describing the outbreak helps you come to a certain conclusion. Then you analyze the outbreak, and after you've analyzed the outbreak, you try to validate new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment of this particular disease. This third step of validation of new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment comes under experimental epidemiology. So you have 3 kinds of epidemiology, I told you. Descriptive epidemiology involves asking those 4 basic questions that an epidemiologist needs to ask in case there is an outbreak or an epidemic. The second question, the second step involves analysis of the outbreak, and the third step involves validation of new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment of this disease or epidemic. क्या आ रहा है आप लोगों को? मैं साथ में हिंदी में भी बोलती जाऊं. समझ में आ रहा है बच्चों?
यस मैम, बिल्कुल समझ में आ रहा है.
ओके, यस मैम. हिंदी में बार-बार उसको रिपीट इसलिए नहीं करूंगी क्योंकि फिर टाइम बहुत चला जाता है. ठीक है, अगर कहीं पे दिक्कत है आप बता दीजिएगा, मैं उसको हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट करके आपको बता दूंगी. आप इसको इस एग्जाम्पल से, इन 3 स्टेप्स को इस एग्जाम्पल से याद रख सकते हैं. जब भी कोर्ट में या कोई इंसिडेंस होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आजकल न्यूज में सुशांत सिंह राजपूत का suicide / murder mystery / homicide, whatever, we will come to court, or the CBI will come to a logical conclusion. Now, first thing that the police personnel or the agency that is investigating the case treat this as a case or an outbreak or an epidemic. So this is parallel to an outbreak or epidemic. The incident has occurred. Now you are trying to, or the police personnel or the media is trying to describe the incident. What exactly happened? So this comes under, if you take it take it as parallel to investigating an outbreak, this comes under, what happened comes under descriptive epidemiology. The second step was to design studies to analyze the outbreak or the epidemic. This comes under, once you've described what had happened, now you are trying to analyze who must have done this, or is it really a suicide? Are the evidences corroborating suicide, or are the evidences leading to suspicion that it could be a murder or a homicide? So this is analysis. Then comes, first you describe an incident, then you analyze the incident, and then once you've analyzed the incident and come to a certain conclusion that this could be the cause, in Sushant Singh Rajput's case, it could be a murder or a homicide or a suicide, who knows. Then you validate new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment. So third step in this case would be filing a case. If you take a parallel to filing a case and then fighting the case out in the court, and then the courts will decide as to what judgment has to be given. So if you compare this to epidemiology, now once you found out the cause of the outbreak through analytical studies, you are trying to validate new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment. Now, validating new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment, taking example of the COVID-19 pandemic that we all are going through right now, you want to prevent this pandemic to spread to other countries or to regions that are not yet affected in a particular country. Let's say India, if there is a region that is not yet affected by this pandemic, then let's take all steps, let's ensure that it does not affect that area, or the onset of the disease doesn't occur in that area. Control, if the disease has already entered a particular area or has affected a particular area, let's control the spread of the disease. Then comes the treatment. Now, already a certain segment of the population is ailing because of this disease or the pandemic. Now you have to treat that population, right? So prevention, control, and treatment needs validation of new approaches in case it is a novel disease, or even if it is an established disease and it has taken unexpected proportions, which means that the steps that were taken earlier are not sufficient to prevent, control, or treat the disease sufficiently. So you need to validate newer approaches for prevention, control, and treatment of a particular disease. For this, I can explain to you with the example of TB. Earlier, there was a certain point of time in history when tuberculosis was a very prevalent disease worldwide. Then came the BCG vaccination. WHO introduced BCG vaccination, and the entire world almost got vaccinated, although the developed countries still do not take BCG vaccinations. BCG vaccinations in US and UK are not given to general population. They take other measures to prevent tuberculosis. So once BCG vaccination was introduced at a global scale by WHO, we saw that cases of tuberculosis. Then came a second phase of TB infections, because people had acquired resistance to the drugs that were being administered to cure TB in the population that was ailing from this disease. So once the infectious organisms or the pathogens, they keep on evolving themselves. So you always need to validate new approaches to prevention, control, and treatment of a particular disease. समझ में आ गया आपको? या हिंदी में समझाने की जरूरत है? Students, हिंदी में समझा रहे हैं मैम? नो मैम, मैम आ रहा है।
मैम समझा दीजिए।
हिंदी में समझा दें?
यस मैम। यस मैम।
चलिए ठीक है, एक बार समझा देते हैं। तो हम एपिडेमियोलॉजी का गोल डिस्कस कर रहे थे, यानी उस दिन किसी बच्चे ने बोला था हाँ लक्ष्य गलत अनुवाद है गोल का, टारगेट का अनुवाद लक्ष्य होता है। वो किसी ने बोला था उद्देश्य, जिसने भी बोला था सही बोला था। गोल का अनुवाद हिंदी में उद्देश्य। तो एपिडेमियोलॉजी यानी कि महामारी कर लीजिए, बहुत डिस्टर्बेंस हो रहा है। तो महामारी विज्ञान का अंतिम उद्देश्य क्या है? महामारी विज्ञान का अंतिम उद्देश्य है किसी भी जनसंख्या में डिजीज, इंजरी या डेथ, अब इसका अनुवाद नहीं करूंगी, ये कॉमन टर्म्स है, ये आप समझते हैं। डिजीज, इंजरी या डेथ को लिमिट करना यानी कि उनको रोकना, प्रिवेंट करना यानी बचाव करना, कंट्रोल यानी रोकथाम। बचाव और रोकथाम, किस चीज की बचाव और या रोकथाम? डिजीज, इंजरी या डेथ की। तो इनको लिमिट करना, बीमारियों के केसेस को कम करना, किसी भी बीमारी के, इंजरीज को कम करना, केसेस ऑफ इंजरीज, एंड डेथ्स इन अ कम्युनिटी यानी मृत्यु दर कम करना, बीमारियों बीमारी होने की दर कम करना और इंजरीज की दर को कम करना इन अ सर्टेन पॉपुलेशन, ये महामारी विज्ञान का या एपिडेमियोलॉजी का अंतिम उद्देश्य होता है। अब वो इस उद्देश्य में सबको पाता कैसे है, इसको प्राप्त कैसे करता है इस उद्देश्य को? तो इट इंटरवीन्स, वो इंटरवीन का मतलब समझते हैं ना कि हस्तक्षेप करना, तो वो इस हस्तक्षेप इस तरीके से करता है कि वो आउटब्रेक्स या एपिडेमिक्स को या तो प्रिवेंट कर पाए टोटली, और या तो अगर ऑलरेडी हो चुका है, एक किसी पर्टिकुलर पॉपुलेशन या कम्युनिटी या रीजन को अफेक्ट कर चुका है, तो उसकी स्प्रेड को हॉल्ट किया जा सके, प्रोग्रेस को हॉल्ट किया जा सके। तो इसको बोलते हैं लिमिटिंग ऑफ एन आउटब्रेक और एपिडेमिक। अब ये how does it achieve this, how does it accomplish this? इसके 3 strategies हैं। पहला strategy है, the first step involves you have to describe the outbreak, just as in the case of a criminal case, or you need to describe what happened, or what happened, the incident has already happened and you're trying to describe what happened. So you need to describe the outbreak, उसका वर्णन करना है आपको जो आउटब्रेक हुआ है। कुछ सवाल होते हैं बेसिक जिनका सहारा लेकर आपको डिस्क्राइब करना है एक्चुअली क्या हुआ है। उसके बेसिस पर आप एक सर्टेन कंक्लूजन पर पहुंचेंगे, लेकिन ये कंक्लूजन पुख्ता नहीं है, आपको इसको एनालाइज करना होगा। इसके बाद आता है दूसरा स्टेप एनालिसिस का। एनालिसिस को हिंदी में कहते हैं विवेचना करना। तो आप स्टडीज डिजाइन करेंगे, एपिडेमियोलॉजिकल स्टडीज कई तरीके की होती हैं, वो हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे, आगे समझेंगे। स्टडीज डिजाइन करेंगे जिससे हम जो भी हुआ है, जो आउटब्रेक या एपिडेमिक हुआ है, उसकी विवेचना करेंगे, कारणों को जानने की कोशिश करेंगे। मैंने आपको बताया था सिंपल सा 4 स्टेप का हिंदी में एक फॉर्मूला याद रखिए। एपिडेमियोलॉजी अगर आपको समझना है कि एपिडेमियोलॉजी काम कैसे करता है, पहला समस्या क्या है, वो ये जानना चाहता है समस्या क्या है। समस्या क्या है ये आपको पता चलेगा डिस्क्रिप्टिव। अगला सवाल होता है यानी व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम। दूसरा समस्या क्या है ये आपको पता चल गया। इसके बाद अगला आता है समस्या का कारण क्या है, व्हाट इज द कॉज ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम। प्रॉब्लम in this case is disease. Okay, I'm not going to repeat disease every time. I'm trying to explain you in simple terms. समस्या का कारण क्या है। तीसरा आता है समाधान क्या है। कारण आपको पता चल गया, समस्या का समाधान क्या है। So what is the solution to the problem? So this कारण को डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी से भी पता चल सकता है या एनालिटिकल एपिडेमियोलॉजी से भी पता चल सकता है। हो सकता है डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी ही अपने आप में इतना वर्णन कर दे कि आपको कारण का पता चल जाए। हो सकता है आपको एपिडेमियोलॉजिकल स्टडीज डिजाइन करनी पड़े, एनालिटिकल एपिडेमियोलॉजी का सहारा लेना पड़े। डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी इज नॉट इनफ टू कम टू अ सर्टेन कंक्लूजन अबाउट द कॉज ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम और द कॉज ऑफ द डिजीज। उस केस में आपको एनालिटिकल एपिडेमियोलॉजी का सहारा लेना पड़ेगा। तो समस्या क्या है, समस्या का कारण क्या है, समाधान क्या है, and once you are aware of the samadhan, that is the solution to the problem, then you have to design ways or find out ways to apply this solution in such a way that it is effective in preventing or limiting the spread of the disease or the onset of the disease or in prevention, control and treatment of the disease at a population level. Okay, आ गया समझ में? पॉपुलेशन लेवल यानी जनसंख्या के स्तर पर। थ्रू दीज प्रैक्टिसेस, अब मतलब इन ये जो प्रैक्टिसेस, ये 3 प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, इनके थ्रू 3 प्रैक्टिसेस यानी डिस्क्राइबिंग एन आउटब्रेक, designing studies to analyze them, and validating new approaches to prevention, control and treatment. The epidemiologists contribute to our knowledge. How do they contribute to our knowledge? They contribute to how diseases begin and spread through populations. बीमारी किसी भी जनसंख्या में या किसी भी समुदाय में, जन समुदाय में कैसे उनकी शुरुआत होती है और कैसे उनका प्रसार होता है किसी भी समुदाय में। दूसरा इंफॉर्मेशन जो एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट हमें प्रोवाइड करते हैं इन प्रैक्टिसेस के थ्रू, इन स्टेप्स के थ्रू, वो ये है कि हाउ these diseases or epidemics can be prevented, controlled and treated. So the first knowledge that they contribute to is how diseases begin and spread through populations, and the second is how they can be prevented, controlled and treated. एक बार शुरुआत हो गई और उनका प्रसार हो गया जनसंख्या में, तो अब आगे ये बीमारी आपको परेशान ना करे, इसलिए प्रिवेंशन, बचाव के मेजर्स क्या होंगे, कंट्रोल के मेजर्स क्या होंगे, यानी प्रसार को और आगे फैलने से रोकने, बीमारी के प्रसार को और आगे फैलने से रोकने के मेजर्स क्या होंगे, और ट्रीटमेंट, जिन लोगों को ऑलरेडी ये बीमारी हो चुकी, जो सफर कर रहे हैं इस डिजीज से, उनका इलाज, इसकी नॉलेज हमें एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट प्रोवाइड करते हैं थ्रू these steps, that is descriptive epidemiology, analytical epidemiology and experimental epidemiology. Experimental epidemiology is generally carried out in labs, but it could also be carried out in field studies. Descriptive epidemiology and analytical epidemiology are basically involve field studies, but experimental epidemiology largely involves laboratory. समझ में आ गया इतना? क्लियर?
मैम
जी
मैम डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी में पब्लिक या पॉपुलेशन का क्या रोल है?
डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी में पब्लिक या पॉपुलेशन का क्या रोल है? डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी में पब्लिक या पॉपुलेशन का रोल ये है कि जब आपको कोई एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट कोई सर्वे या रिव्यू कंडक्ट करने के लिए आपके पास आ रहा है, तो आप उसको सहयोग दें, है ना, सही जानकारी प्रदान करें. पॉपुलेशन का ये रोल है डिस्क्रिप्टिव एपिडेमियोलॉजी.
मतलब they will describe.
No, they will not describe. The epidemiologist would. The epidemiologist is asking certain questions. For example, if the epidemiologist asks, the first question the epidemiologist asks is, how many people are sick, right? So if, for example, take the present COVID-19 example of the present COVID-19 pandemic. If an epidemiologist is asking how many people are sick, or if the government, in this case, let's assume that the government has adopted the role of an epidemiologist, because governments, many epidemiologists, senior epidemiologists are working with the government to prevent, control, to find out new ways to prevent, control and treat this pandemic all over the world. So epidemiologists, big epidemiologists in India also are working hand in hand with the government of India to prevent the spread of this disease and to find out new ways to prevention, control and treatment of this disease. So when they are asking how many people are sick, you have to be honest. In case you are suffering from the symptoms that are being advertised for that you should self-assess yourself for COVID symptoms, COVID-19 symptoms. In case you are suffering from these symptoms, your responsibility as public or population is to not hide this information, to not run away from testing. You have to present yourself for testing. You have to inform the government that yes, I am having these symptoms that you are telling could be possible symptoms of COVID-19 of the COVID-19 disease, and so I need to get tested. Get yourself tested. Verify whether you are COVID-19 positive or COVID-19 negative, and take the necessary steps or the precautions that the government is prescribing to you in case you're positive or negative. So depending upon which category you fall in after the test, take necessary steps or precautions that the government is asking you to take. So this is the responsibility of the government. Okay.
Okay.
All of you, if you have any queries, just note it down, because we have limited time. Just note it down. We'll discuss it in the next class. Okay. Okay. We can have an interactive session in between. Some other time, a purely interactive session. Just note down your queries and we'll discuss that later. Now the question. आगे बढ़े हम?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
So now the question might be asked. कोई पूछ सकता है, how many cases are required before a disease outbreak is considered an epidemic? What qualifies to be an epidemic? 10 cases, 1,000 cases, 100 cases, 50 cases? How many cases? How many cases in a population are needed to call a disease not an outbreak but an epidemic? Right? So the answer, इसका जवाब क्या होगा? The answer is that it depends on the population and the disease. time is really annoying. Anyway, so by the time you build up the tempo, the time is over. So the answer is that it depends, because we are used to taking 2-hour classes. No? It depends upon the disease and the population. अब मान लीजिए किसी ने ये सवाल पूछा कि एक एपिडेमिक की क्वालिफिकेशन क्या है, आप किसी भी आउटब्रेक को एपिडेमिक कब करार करेंगे? क्या 10 केस होने से एपिडेमिक कहलाएगा? 1000 केसेस होने से एपिडेमिक कहलाएगा? 100 केसेस होने से एपिडेमिक कहलाएगा? 50 केस होने से एपिडेमिक कहलाएगा? जवाब ये है कि इसका कोई फिक्स्ड या निश्चित जवाब नहीं, आंसर नहीं है. ये जनसंख्या और उस बीमारी पर निर्भर करता है. एपिडेमिक की डेफिनेशन, an unexpectedly large number of cases of a disease in a particular population. Yani, if a disease is occurring at unexpected or unacceptable levels in a population, at a given point of time, in a particular region, then it qualifies to be an epidemic. जैसे मिसाल के तौर पर मैं आपको बताऊं, कोविड-19 तो भारतीय जनसंख्या में, भारतीय क्षेत्र में होने वाली कोई नॉर्मल बीमारी यानी कि हर साल होती है लोगों को, कोविड या चाइना में भी नहीं थी, दुनिया में कोविड-19 का 2 केस भी एपिडेमिक के लिए क्वालिफाई करेगा, 5 केस भी एपिडेमिक के लिए क्वालिफाई करेगा, क्योंकि ये बीमारी अस्वाभाविक है, एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं है. ये जो बीमारी है ये एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं है. न्यूमोनिया का 2 केस, न्यूमोनिया का 100 केस भी एपिडेमिक नहीं कहलाएगा किसी बड़ी जनसंख्या में, क्योंकि न्यूमोनिया भारतवर्ष में हर साल काफी लोगों को न्यूमोनिया होता है, हर साल काफी लोगों को टीबी होता है. उसको हम एपिडेमिक इसलिए नहीं करार देते हैं क्योंकि वो अनएक्सपेक्टेड कभी रहा होगा, अनएक्सपेक्टेड, बट नाउ विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम it is no longer an unexpected or an unacceptable level of disease. Today, this condition is such that even large number of cancer cases do not qualify to be an epidemic, because everybody has accepted that cancer is prevalent in every country and in every society, and the number of cancer cases are at a rise. So it depends upon the disease and the population. For example, हर साल भारत में जब शुरुआत हुई थी जीका वायरस का, अगर आज 5 केस भी आ जाए भारत में तो वो एपिडेमिक कहलाएगा, लेकिन डेंगू के 100 केसेस भी आ जाए, 1000 केसेस भी आ जाए पूरे भारत में तो वो एपिडेमिक नहीं कहलाएंगे, क्योंकि आज हम ये मानते हैं कि हर साल बारिश के आफ्टर पोस्ट समर सीजन और इन द लेट समर सीजन और अर्ली रेनी सीजन, केसेस ऑफ डेंगू आर एक्सपेक्टेड टू राइज. जैसे ऐसी बीमारियां जो किसी जगह पर अपना घर बना लेती हैं, यानी कि वो नॉर्मल कोर्स में होती रहती हैं किसी जनसंख्या में, उनको एंडेमिक डिजीजेस कहते हैं. सो द डेफिनेशन ऑफ एन एंडेमिक डिजीज इज अ डिजीज दैट occurs regularly in a population or as a matter of fact. If dengue cases come, or suppose let's say heart disease cases come, 100 heart disease cases, 1000 heart disease cases, even lakhs of heart disease cases, incidence rates happen in India, incidences happen in India every year, it would not qualify as an epidemic, because we know that people are suffering from heart disease. New cases come up every year. Chronic kidney disease cases come up every year. Chronic lung disease cases come up every year. TB cases come up every year. AIDS cases come up every year. So they do no longer qualify as epidemics. And the definition of an epidemic is an unexpectedly large number of cases of a disease in a particular population. Zika virus, even 5 cases would qualify as an epidemic. Coronavirus, even when we had 2 or 3 people in India, it qualified as an epidemic. So a disease has to be at an unexpected or unacceptable levels in a given population to be qualified as an epidemic. Okay. Now, the next question that one may ask is, what are the diseases that occur regularly in a population, but they are not epidemic? So these diseases, I've already told you, are known as endemic diseases. For example, In eastern UP area, Japanese encephalitis has become endemic. उसने घर बना लिया है उस क्षेत्र में. हर साल आपको पता है कि बारिश के सीजन में Japanese encephalitis के cases they are on a rise. Then every dengue cases they are on a rise in every rainy season. It's become a normal course. Similarly, malaria cases they occur in northeastern India or in marshy or swampy places every year. So to a region, if a disease has settled in a region, like after a passage of a certain period of time, even COVID-19, coronavirus is going to be endemic to many regions across the world. And the greatest fear is that Indian epidemiologists are afraid of that coronavirus or COVID-19 disease might become endemic to India, given the illiteracy, the lack of awareness, the lack of health and hygiene in India. It might become endemic to Indian region or the entire Asia, but at least in the Indian region, in the Indian subcontinent, this disease might become endemic. That is, every year we might see a number of cases of COVID-19. So this might become a normal feature with passage of time, if we do not take certain preventive measures, and the efforts should be to prevent that from happening, from COVID-19 becoming a disease that is endemic to India or the Indian subcontinent. So these diseases, which occur regularly in a population, epidemic, are termed as endemic disease. Whether a disease is epidemic or endemic depends upon the disease and the population. For example, heart disease is endemic in America. Heart disease is now endemic in India also. And in regions of equatorial Africa, समझते हैं ना आप वो Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, ये वाला जो region है अफ्रीका में, अफ्रीकन कॉन्टिनेंट में, यहाँ पर जो countries fall करती हैं, उस region में सियरा लियोन, ये सारी countries जिस region में fall करती हैं, इक्वेटर पे जो countries fall करती हैं, उस रीजन में इक्वेटोरियल अफ्रीका में मलेरिया एंडेमिक है. हर साल वहां पे मलेरिया के सबसे ज्यादा केसेस दुनिया में पाए जाते हैं. नए केसेस मतलब इंसिडेंस रेट वहां पे बहुत हाई है. तो वहां पर वो डिजीज हालांकि बहुत बड़े स्तर पर होती है, लेकिन क्योंकि अनएक्सपेक्टेड नहीं है, अनएक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है, हर साल होती है, इसलिए इट इज नो लॉन्गर एन एपिडेमिक, इट हैज बिकम एन एंडेमिक डिजीज. नाउ while an epidemiologist studies outbreaks of disease, injury, and death in a human population or community, that is epidemics. So an epidemiologist studies occurrence of epidemics in human populations. Similarly, an epizootiologist studies disease outbreaks in animal populations. So what are these diseases called that occur in animal populations? Such diseases are called epizootics. And the person who studies these diseases is called an epizootiologist. Now, why am I telling you about epizootics and epizootiologists? Is because there are certain diseases which originate in animals and then they get transferred to humans. So, initially they are epizootic diseases, but later they may jump from animals to humans and become epidemics. Such diseases, when both humans and animals are involved in a disease outbreak, the term for such diseases is called epizootemic. Okay, for example, bubonic plague is such a disease. It originates in animals and then it migrates or jumps over to humans. The infection spreads to humans. Occasionally, so an epidemic, I have already told you this, spreads over a wide area to a large area, and it can even spread to an entire continent or around the world. In that case, such a wide